Here's a 800-word story for Part 1. The Assignment, written in simple English with third-person perspective. The ship landed with a soft hiss on the outskirts of the medical outpost. Dr. Tejo stepped out and immediately felt his body struggle against Earth's gravity. His thin frame, perfect for the low gravity of his home planet, seemed heavy and awkward here. The cold air bit at his blue-tinted skin, making him pull his thermal suit tighter. "This is what they call a Class 12 Deathworld," he muttered to himself, looking at the dense forest surrounding the landing pad. Snow covered the ground, and dark clouds threatened more to come. His 6 fingers gripped his medical bag harder as he walked toward the main building. 3 weeks ago, the Galactic Medical Coalition had called him to their headquarters. Director Cole had sat across from him, her 4 eyes blinking slowly. "Dr. Tejo, we need our best xenophysician for a special assignment," she had said. "Earth has been classified as a death world for good reasons. Extreme weather, dangerous wildlife, and over 10,000 types of pathogens. But humans have developed unique medical practices we want to study." Tejo had accepted without hesitation. After 15 years of treating patients across the galaxy, he wanted a challenge. Many colleagues had warned him against going to Earth. No xenophysician had completed a full study there before. The doors of the medical outpost slid open. A wave of warm air and strange smells hit him. Antiseptic, mixed with something earthy and unfamiliar. A human woman stood waiting, wearing a white coat over blue clothes. Her dark hair was tied back and she smiled at him, showing her teeth, a gesture Tejo knew was friendly among humans, though it looked threatening to his species. "Dr. Tejo, welcome to Earth. I'm Dr. Mina. We've been expecting you." Her voice sounded pleasant despite the strange single-toned quality of human speech. Tejo bowed slightly, the greeting gesture of his people. "Thank you for having me. I look forward to our work together." Mina showed him around the facility, a simple building with 20 rooms for patients, 2 operating theaters, and a small research lab. To Tejo, it seemed primitive compared to the floating medical centers on his homeworld, but he kept his thoughts to himself. "Most of our patients come from the nearby town and logging camps," Mina explained, pointing to a map on the wall. "We're the only medical facility within 200 kilometers. Tejo nodded, trying to hide how tired he felt under Earth's heavy gravity. His translator device caught most of her words, but some terms didn't translate well. He made notes to study Earth medical terminology later. "Your quarters are this way," Mina said, leading him down a hallway. "We've adjusted the room settings to match your homeworld's conditions as much as possible." The room was small but comfortable. A bed, desk, and environmental controls. Tejo placed his bag down and felt grateful for the chance to rest. "Dinner is at 1800 hours in the common room," Mina said. "Rest well. Tomorrow we start your orientation." After she left, Tejo sat on the bed and looked out the window at the thick forest and gray sky. He wondered if he had made a mistake coming here. Everything felt wrong. The air, the light, the gravity. His body ached already. He had just started unpacking when alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Tejo rushed out to see staff running down the hallway. "What's happening?" he asked a passing nurse. "Storm warning," the young man replied. "Power might go out. Head to the common room." Tejo followed the flow of people to a large room where Mina stood before a screen showing weather patterns. Red swirls covered most of the map. "The storm hit sooner than expected," she announced. "Wind speeds approaching 150 kilometers per hour. Power lines may go down. Everyone knows the drill. Emergency generators for critical systems only." Tejo stood to the side, watching the humans work quickly and calmly. On his world, such a storm would cause panic and evacuation. Here, the humans seemed to take it in stride. As if on cue, the lights flickered and went out. For a moment, darkness filled the room before emergency lights came on, casting everything in a dim red glow. "Dr. Tejo," Mina called, waving him over. "Looks like your first lesson in Earth medicine will be emergency protocols during power outages. Are you ready?" Tejo felt his 3 hearts beating faster. This was not the gentle introduction he had expected. but he had come here to learn, to test himself against this death world. "I'm ready," he said, following her toward the emergency ward where patients were already being brought in, humans injured in the sudden storm. Outside, the wind howled like a beast, and snow pelted against the windows. Inside, Dr. Taiho faced his first test on the death world called Earth. Dr. Taiho stood in the emergency room doorway, watching Dr. Mina work. 3 days had passed since the storm, and he still couldn't believe what he was seeing. The human doctor had been treating patients for over 30 hours without rest. On his homeworld, medical staff worked in 6-hour shifts to maintain focus and prevent mistakes. Here, Mina moved from patient to patient with steady hands and clear eyes despite her obvious exhaustion. "How do you keep going?" Taiho asked when she finally paused to drink water. Mina shrugged. "You get used to it. Coffee helps." She held up a dark liquid that smelled bitter to Taiho's sensitive nose. The logging accident had brought 7 injured humans to their small facility. Trees had fallen during the storm, crushing equipment and workers. Broken bones, deep cuts, and one serious head injury kept the medical team busy through the night. Taiho had tried to help, but human physiology confused him. Their single heart seemed so fragile, pumping blood through their entire body without any backup. Their bones broke easily compared to his flexible skeleton. Yet they recovered from injuries that would kill most species in the galaxy. "Come see this," Mina called, waving him to a patient's bedside. The man had arrived yesterday with a deep cut on his arm. Taiho had wanted to use tissue regeneration technology from his homeworld, but Mina insisted they use simple stitches instead. "Look at the wound edges," she said, carefully removing the bandage. Taiho leaned closer, his 3 eyes widening. "It's already healing," he said, surprised. "On my world, this would take at least 10 days to show new tissue growth." "Human bodies are good at fixing themselves," Mina explained. "We evolved that way. Had to, with all the dangers on Earth." Taiho made notes on his datapad. The Coalition would find this fascinating. Humans healed faster than most known species despite their seemingly primitive medical technology. Later that day, a new patient arrived. A young woman with severe stomach pain lay on the examination table while Mina ran tests. "Appendicitis," she announced after checking the scan results. "We need to operate." "Wait," Taiho said, studying the scans. "On my world, we would use bacterial neutralizers and save the organ." Mina shook her head. "The appendix can rupture and cause life-threatening infection. Standard treatment is surgical removal." "But it's an organ," Taiho argued. "You can't just remove body parts." "Watch me," Mina said with a small smile. "Humans can live perfectly fine without an appendix. It's a vestigial organ." Taiho couldn't believe what he was hearing. "You regularly remove organs, and the patients survive?" "Appendix, gallbladder, tonsils, 1 kidney, part of the liver, portions of intestines. Yes, we can survive without them," Mina explained while preparing for surgery. "We're very adaptable." Taiho watched the operation in fascination. Mina worked quickly and precisely, removing the inflamed organ and closing the incision. The patient would be walking in 2 days and fully recovered in 2 weeks. That evening, Taiho sat in the research lab updating his notes for the Coalition. He had been on Earth for only a few days, but already his understanding of medicine was changing. Humans seemed primitive in their technology, but advanced in their knowledge of their own bodies. They had evolved on this dangerous planet and developed medical practices suited to their unique physiology. The door opened and Mina walked in, looking tired but satisfied. "All patients are stable," she said, sitting across from him. "What are you working on?" "My report for the Coalition," Taiho replied. "I'm documenting human medical practices. Your approach is different from what we consider standard." Mina laughed. "I bet. Your equipment looks like magic to me, but sometimes simple works best." "I noticed you use a lot of pain management techniques," Taiho said. "On my world, we block pain completely during treatment." "Pain tells us important things," Mina explained. "Too much pain control can hide symptoms we need to watch. Besides, humans can handle pain better than you might. Think, An alarm sounded from the emergency room. Both doctors stood up immediately. Another logging accident? Taiho asked, following Mina down the hallway. No, she said, her face serious. Something different. Multiple patients with the same symptoms. High fever, trouble breathing, skin rash. In the emergency room, nurses were bringing in stretchers. 3 humans lay shivering despite their high temperatures. Red spots covered their skin. Taiho felt a chill run through his body that had nothing to do with Earth's temperature. He had seen similar symptoms before, on a space station near the galaxy's edge. But that was impossible. That pathogen couldn't survive Earth's atmosphere unless it had changed, adapted, evolved, just like the humans on this Deathworld. We have a problem, he said quietly to Mina as more patients arrived. I think this might be my fault. The emergency ward filled with patients by morning. 27 people now showed the same symptoms: high fever, red rash, and breathing problems. Dr. Taiho moved between beds, checking vital signs and taking samples. His movements were quick, but careful. Each breath he took through his mask filter reminded him of the danger. I need to tell you something, he said when he found Mina in the lab. She looked up from her microscope, dark circles under her eyes. I believe this pathogen came from my equipment. Mina's face showed no anger, just tired concern. How? There's a harmless bacteria we use for calibrating medical scanners, Taiho explained. It must have mutated in Earth's environment. Your atmosphere, temperature, and radiation levels are perfect conditions for rapid evolution. Taiho's communication device buzzed. Director Cole's face appeared on the small screen, all 4 of her eyes blinking rapidly, a sign of extreme stress in their species. Dr. Taiho, we've received your initial report on the outbreak. An extraction ship is on its way. You will evacuate immediately. I can't leave, Taiho said. I caused this. I need to help fix it. This is a Class 12 Deathworld, the director reminded him sharply. Pathogens there evolve faster than anywhere else in the galaxy. If you stay, you will likely die. The ship arrives in 6 hours. Be ready. The screen went dark. Taiho looked at Mina, who had heard everything. You should go, she said quietly. This isn't your fight. Yes, it is, Taiho replied. My equipment, my responsibility. They worked together in the lab, studying blood samples from the patients. Taiho was amazed at how quickly the human immune systems were responding to the new threat. Their white blood cells attacked the bacteria aggressively. Look at this, he said, showing Mina a screen with 2 blood samples side by side. The patient from yesterday and the same patient today. Their immune system is already adapting, creating new antibodies. On my world, this would take weeks. That's why we survive. Here, Mina said with a tired smile. We've been fighting new diseases for thousands of years. Our bodies learn to adapt quickly. More patients arrived throughout the day. The small medical facility was now filled beyond capacity. Some people lay on makeshift beds in the hallways. The extraction ship would arrive in 1 hour. Taiho's own body was beginning to feel strange. His skin burned and breathing became harder. He had caught the pathogen despite his protective equipment. You're sick, Mina said, noticing his blue skin turning a darker shade. You need to rest. No time, he said. I think I found something. The bacteria is changing to attack specific proteins in human blood, but it's still similar enough to its original form that we might create a treatment from my blood. Your blood? Mina asked, surprised. But you're infected too. Yes, but my immune system works differently than yours. My blood might contain the key to fighting this. Taiho took a sample of his own blood, hands shaking slightly. The extraction ship would land soon, but he wouldn't be on it. He had made his choice. As night fell, Taiho and Mina worked in the lab while nurses cared for the growing number of patients. Outside, snow began to fall again, covering the ground in white. The communication device buzzed repeatedly, but Taiho ignored it. I think this might work, he said finally, holding up a small vial of clear liquid, a combination of human antibodies and compounds from my blood. It should stop the bacteria from reproducing. They tested it on samples in the lab and watched as the bacteria died. "We need to try it on patients," Mina said. "But this is experimental. It's risky." "We have no choice," Taiho replied. His body felt heavy and hot now, the infection spreading through his system. "We start with the worst cases." As they prepared the treatment, Taiho looked out the window. Through the falling snow, he saw lights in the sky, the extraction ship landing in the clearing. They would wait for him, but not for long. Taiho turned away from the window and picked up the first dose of medicine. His 3 hearts beat rapidly as fever took hold of his body. He had never imagined his assignment to this death world would lead him here, fighting for the lives of humans and himself against a threat he had accidentally created. "Let's begin," he said to Mina, walking toward the first patient's bed with unsteady steps. 3 days had passed since the extraction ship left without Dr. Taiho. The outbreak had spread to nearly 50 people in the small town. Inside the medical facility, patients filled every available space. The treatment Taiho and Mina created helped some patients, but others still struggled. Worse, the storm outside had grown stronger, cutting off the facility from the outside. World Taiho leaned against a wall, fighting to stay upright. The fever burned through his body. His blue skin had turned almost black in places where the infection was worst. Still, he moved from patient to patient, checking their progress. "You need to rest," Mina said, guiding him to a chair. Her face looked pale and drawn. She had started showing symptoms yesterday. "I can't," he said. "Too many patients." "You'll be another patient if you don't rest," she insisted. A loud crash outside made them both turn. Through the window, they saw a power line fall under the weight of ice and snow. Seconds later, the lights went out. The backup generator hummed to life, but Taiho knew it would only power the most critical equipment. One of the nurses ran into the room. "The generator's fuel is low, maybe 12 hours left. And the oxygen system for critical patients needs power," Mina added. "We need to get the main power back." Taiho looked outside at the storm. The fallen power line was about half a kilometer away. In normal conditions, an easy walk. In this blizzard, with temperatures far below what his body could handle, it might as well be 1,000 kilometers. "I'll go," he said quietly. "That's crazy," Mina argued. "You're sick, and your body isn't made for our weather. You'll die out there. Your oxygen systems need power. Without them, the sickest patients will die. I caused this outbreak. I won't let anyone else die because of me." His voice was firm despite his weakness. Mina tried to argue more, but she could see his mind was made up. Together, they gathered what protection they could: thick coats, boots, gloves. None of it designed for his 6-fingered hands or oddly shaped feet, but better than nothing. "The repair team left tools in the storage room," Mina said, helping him pack a bag. "The power line just needs to be reattached to the connector. Even in good weather, it's a 2-person job." "I'll manage," Taiho said, though he wasn't sure how. When he stepped outside, the cold hit him like a physical blow. His species evolved on a warm planet with gentle weather. Here, the wind cut through his borrowed clothes and snow blinded his 3 eyes. Each step through the deep snow drained his energy. Halfway to the power line, Taiho fell to his knees. His body temperature was dropping dangerously. The fever that had burned inside him now seemed like a distant memory as cold numbed his limbs. It would be easy to stop here, to lie down in the snow and rest. "No," he said aloud, his voice lost in the howling wind. Humans wouldn't give up. They lived on this death world, faced these conditions, and survived. He could do the same. Taiho forced himself up and kept moving, one slow step after another. He thought of Mina and the other patients waiting for him to succeed. He thought of his failure that caused this outbreak. He had to make it right. The power line lay across the snow, its connection point on a pole just out of reach. Taiho's hands shook as he unpacked the tools. His 6 fingers, numb with cold, struggled to hold the equipment. Twice he dropped the connector, having to dig through snow to find it again. Working in the howling wind, he managed to climb the pole just high enough to reach the connection point. His body screamed in pain from cold and exhaustion, but he kept going. Click by click, The power line reattached. When the last connection snapped into place, lights in the distance flickered on. The medical facility had power again. Taeho's relief lasted only a moment before darkness crowded his vision. He fell from the pole into the deep snow below. His body had reached its limit. As consciousness faded, Taeho thought he heard voices. Then strong hands lifted him. Through blurry eyes he saw human faces above him, workers from the town who had seen the lights come back on and came to help. Back at the facility, Taeho drifted in and out of awareness. He felt heat slowly returning to his body. When he finally opened his eyes fully, he saw Mina lying in the bed next to his. Her breathing was shallow, her skin covered with the red rash of advanced infection. With the last of his strength, Taeho reached for the medical supplies nearby. If the treatment they created wasn't enough, he would try something forbidden, something the Coalition had banned as too dangerous. He would modify his own antibodies to work within human physiology, starting with Mina. As he prepared the new treatment with shaking hands, he knew he was breaking every rule in the medical book. But on this Deathworld, sometimes rules had to be broken to survive. 2 weeks after the power line incident, a large ship landed outside the medical facility. Armed guards in protective suits stepped out first, followed by Director Cole and a medical team. They expected to find a devastated outpost, bodies to recover, and a containment crisis. Instead, they found Dr. Taeho working in the lab, patients recovering in the wards, and the outbreak nearly contained. "Impossible," Director Cole whispered as she entered the facility. Her 4 eyes blinked rapidly at the sight before her. "Our models predicted complete failure." Taeho looked up from his microscope. He appeared thinner than before, his blue skin still showing dark patches from his illness, but his eyes were clear and focused. "Director," he said with a small bow, "welcome to Earth." "Explain," she demanded, keeping her distance despite her protective suit. "How are you alive? How are any of you alive?" Taeho led her to the lab where samples and data filled every screen. "The human immune system is remarkable. It adapts faster than any species I've studied. And when combined with treatments based on our biology, the results are even more impressive. In the recovery ward, patients sat up in beds, talking and eating. Some were already walking around. Dr. Mina moved among them, checking vital signs and making notes. When she saw Director Cole, she gave a respectful nod. "This is Dr. Mina," Taeho introduced her. "Without her knowledge of human physiology, I couldn't have created the treatment." "You mean the forbidden procedure," Director Cole said coldly, "mixing xenobiological elements with another species' immune system. The Coalition banned such practices 50 years ago." "Yes," Taeho admitted, "but it worked, and we've documented everything. The data shows this approach could revolutionize medical treatment across the galaxy." Director Cole studied the charts and patient records for hours. Her team took samples and interviewed recovering patients. By evening, even she had to admit the results were impressive. "The Coalition will need to reconsider its classification system," she said, as they walked outside under a clear night sky. The storm had finally passed, leaving a clean, crisp air that hurt Taeho's lungs but felt refreshing after weeks inside. Perhaps what makes Earth dangerous is also what makes it valuable. 1 month later, the first permanent xenomedical research facility on Earth officially opened. The Coalition had approved its construction after reviewing Taeho's research. Dr. Taeho and Dr. Mina were named co-directors. "I never thought I'd stay on a Deathworld," Taeho told Mina as they watched the construction of the new building. "But I've learned more here in 2 months than in 15 years of practice elsewhere." "We've learned from you too," Mina replied. "Your technology combined with our adaptability makes a powerful team." Their first major test came when a Coalition diplomatic ship arrived with an emergency. A high-ranking official had collapsed during the journey to Earth, suffering from a rare condition that attacked the nervous system. On any other world, with any other medical team, the diplomat would have died. But here, in this facility on a Deathworld, Taeho and Mina worked together. They combined Coalition technology with human medical techniques. They used what they had learned from the outbreak to create a treatment no one had tried before. 3 days later, the diplomat walked out of the facility, completely recovered. Word spread quickly through the galaxy. What had started as a simple assignment to study human medicine had become something much more important. The xenomedical facility on Earth began receiving patients from across the coalition. Cases too difficult or dangerous for traditional treatments. "We need to train more doctors," Taiho told Mina, as they reviewed applications from both human and alien medical students who wanted to study at their facility. "There's too much to learn for just the two of us." On a clear spring day, Taiho stood outside the facility and looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, the coalition was changing its views on Deathworlds. Earth was no longer just a dangerous planet to avoid. It was now a place where the most challenging medical problems could find solutions. "Still glad you took this assignment?" Mina asked, joining him outside. Taiho nodded, his three eyes taking in the beauty of the forest around them. "The best decision of my life. Sometimes you have to face the deadliest challenges to make the greatest discoveries." In the medical facility behind them, doctors of 7 different species worked together, learning from each other and from this dangerous, beautiful, surprising death world called Earth.